When we talk about AI in learning, the conversation often jumps straight to efficiency, automated content, predictive analytics, personalized paths, and so much more. But if you take a step back, the real question is not what AI can do. It is how we use it without forgetting the person on the other side of the screen. Because learning isn't about just data and logic. It is a very important part of human life. And that's where our today's conversation begins. Hi everyone, I'm Prasanna Vaidya and this is GydeBites. Today's episode is all about human side of AI powered learning. And I couldn't think of a better guest to explore it with than Erin Higgenbotham, global customer experience instructional designer at General Motors. With over 15 years of experience, Erin has been transforming adult learning through storytelling, tech-enabled experiences, and much more. What I admired when I was looking at her profile, what I admire most about her work was how she brings together AI and learning to help people grow, flourish, and thrive. Erin, welcome to GuideBites. So glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. So thank you again. I'm really excited for this entire opportunity to speak with you. So thank you.
Once again, thank you so much, and we'll jump right in. So, Erin, how do you think AI? Because everywhere there is AI, right? So, there is no conversation that sort of completes without talking about AI these days. So, how do you think AI is changing the role of every teams today?
That's a great question. So I'm going to actually start at the higher level real quick because for a lot of us, we probably work for organizations. And a lot of the directives that we get come from the greater org. But sometimes when it comes to, I think, new technologies, and especially with AI, the organization themselves may not be ready. Because if you think about it, AI was just right there, and everybody's like, whoa, where did this come from? And so we have to wait, in a way, for the organization to figure out what to do. But that can be very, very slow. So the thing is, I think for at least for me, as an individual contributor and instruction designer, I saw AI and I knew what I wanted to do with it. But we need to be very careful. So while the organization is, cascading down their directives, we need to make sure that, that we are thinking about the complexities of AI, about the challenges, and also just being very smart and diligent in how we adopt AI into our training. I also wanted to say this, that the organization, as you think about the world, everything is always constantly changing. There's always disruptions, always keeping us on our toes. And when you think about it, AI brings us that simplicity. It
Yeah.
makes things easy for us. And that and AI gives us that. We want simplicity, we want something easy, and AI really gives us that ability to have things come easily. So to answer your question back to the beginning, I think for the LD teams, AI really allows us to focus our thoughts. Allows us to get that content out quicker to our learners. And it also allows us to be creative about making those skill building programs, creating those coaching programs, those mentoring programs, and also using AI as a tool to build that bridge and keep in that community and that collaboration, which is very important with, I guess, being a human and us learning from one another.
Yeah, makes sense. So, I think where what you were hinting at was really that while the big organizations cascade through AI, or there is some lag between something getting launched and something getting available for everyone to use for. That's really a great time when people can explore, people can learn about those tools
Yes,
before it starts coming your way. So that
exactly.
yeah, that was a really good point that you made, and it sort of gives everyone a breather in a way that okay,
Mhm.
if I'm working for an organization, it's going to take some time before this hits me. So
Exactly.
that's a very good point that you made. I wanted to come quickly to the risks that we talk about, right? So I'm
Yes.
sure AI is getting used widely now, and how do you think that we are not using it too much and in a way
Mhm.
ignore the learner's needs? How do we balance that, or how what are the risks in that?
Yeah. So recall that I said earlier that we're looking for simplicity, and AI gives us that simplicity. And the danger in that is that we become too over reliant on AI to do everything for us. It takes away. So I like to say this, and I think most people should know this, that AI, generative AI, especially currently, there's no it's just producing prior knowledge that is collected from the greater human from all
Yes.
of us humans that we poured into it. There's nothing innovative about it. The real innovation comes from us. Okay, so again, AI is just that tool to get us to maybe somewhere quicker, but that's where we need to find that balance. um, I like to also think that generative AI, it gives us the basics, but when we're in FD, we really want to take our employees or the learners above the basics. We want them to achieve a higher level of knowledge and mastery over their topic. And generative AI can't do that. It all comes from our minds, our creativity that can create those programs to help uplift humans. We keep using humans a lot because that is the core here. Because people are the most important thing with an AI, and that's what I'm worried that over reliance, over relying on AI, we will forget that the human is at the core. The person's at the core of anything that we do, especially with learning and development. So I really think that we must be deliberate and vigilant in our use of AI and make sure that our learning content really exemplifies equity and accessibility.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's really the key that we just need to just be also one thing I forgot to mention, bias. That when the other risk is not being aware of the bias we may put into prompts.
Yeah.
So when we're writing prompts, creating those algorithms, we really need to be cognizant of if this what I'm putting in here, how could it potentially, I don't want to say I don't know if corrupt's the right word, but how could it potentially negatively influence the algorithm,
Yeah. Yeah.
to have one group, if you understand what I mean. It just
Yeah,
I
yeah,
we
of
just
course.
need to be, oh, yeah, we just need to be aware of how our prompts are written, make sure it's structured correctly so we don't, I guess, corrupt the data when we're building those prompts to pull into our training. So yeah. So really, once again, just to summarize, making sure that we do not become over reliant on the technology, that the innovation comes from us, and that yes, we be very careful not to introduce any sort of bias into the algorithms for our training programs.
Yeah, and you said it rightly, Aaron, because uh, all the AI that currently what it is doing is whatever you input as a prompt, it is trying to sort of obey you and find a find an answer for you. So if you have
Yes.
a lot of bias itself in the coded into your prompt, it's going to give you the biased answer. So yeah, I mean that's really important thing for all of us to understand, that okay, we have to be very cautious about what we are inputting and so on. So while all this is happening, how do we keep the learning human? We have to use AI that is given now. It's not going to be a case where we can just shut it off and say we are not going to use it. But how do we keep this learning human and emotional, personal? How do we do that?
Yeah. Good point. Because I'm going to there's 3 points here, but the first one is ethics.
Mhm.
So for us instructional designers, yes, we have the greater organization that's cascading down the directives, but for us, the individual, we are in control of that learning, that program that we are creating. So it's up to us to find ways to mitigate any bias that we may have in our training data, and habitually review algorithms to make sure that like maybe on day one we didn't put any bias because we're not aware. You just have to be careful, right? We're not like, I'm going
Exactly.
to do this or that. But what I mean is that we're human too. We're flawed. We make mistakes, but we need to go back. So something that you may have inadvertently introduced into the algorithm on day 2 or 3, maybe a few weeks later you go back and you're like, what? Oh, I don't like this because I think this may be a potential bias against someone who has maybe a potential learning disability, or someone who maybe has low hearing, a
Mhm.
disability, or, that's what I'm talking about. That's where I'm really focused on, that accessibility. So we need to be very transparent also about how we use AI in our training to make sure that the learners know, okay, AI is being used, but it's not being used against me. So transparency is key, and that's where ethics really comes into play for us instructional designers. So that's point one. Point two is data privacy. So I think that kind of goes into transparency, being very aware not to put people's real data into any sort of scenario or prompt that one may create with AI. I know I'm going to go into this later, I think, but I love making scenarios, but you got to make sure that you're not putting real data in there. You got to make fake people up. I think most people know that, but data privacy is a real concern. So making sure that what we put in there, that we use the information given to us responsibly, is very, very critical. So we have trust that in our abilities, that we know we're doing the right thing towards our learners.
Mhm.
The third thing is how to keep AI or learning human while using AI is a little bit more obvious, maybe more old school. I I sometimes find myself thinking, because I feel like I'm in the middle. I'm an ambivert, so I'm extroverted sometimes, and sometimes I'm introverted. And so there's times where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go on and make my own training. I'm going to use AI. I have my ideas. I'm just going to go here, put my prompts in, fine tune the prompts, make sure it's what I see it what I want it to be.
Mhm.
But what I'm trying to get at is, don't do that. Collaborate, bring in your peers, ask them for their opinions, and then use AI to summarize your ideas. So in that way, you're still keeping that human connection because you're bringing in other people.
Mhm.
But I think also connected to this is focus groups. So I love doing focus groups, speaking with the people who are taking the training, learning their pain points, seeing how I can make things better for them. And it could be tempting to, for example, you have to make refresher training, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, AI, here's my prompt. I need refresher training on XYZ topic. And it spits it out to you. And of course, since you're aware of everything, you go through and fine tune everything perfectly. But hold up. No, you can't just do that, because you need to look at your data. And the best data comes from the people who are taking your program, who are
Yeah.
learning. So what I'm trying to say is, keep it human by connecting with the people taking your training. Do focus groups, do one-on-one. And then I really feel AI fits really well into this by bringing in all the information and summarizing it for you. I, I can't tell you, before AI, you have all these data points and you're trying to figure out everything in an Excel file or Word doc, and then you have to present it. Now it helps you. It's a great tool, again, just to formulate and focus your ideas. And that's how I think we can just keep AI human, is by involving people. I mean, it's the most simplest thing to do.
Yeah.
Just don't
Yeah.
rely on the AI to do everything for you. Bring in people.
Yeah, makes sense. Erin, we talked about how do we keep learning human. You mentioned about ethics. You mentioned about trust. You mentioned about involving people, collaborating with them. But there is also another component of it, which is like people are worried about when they are thrown AI, or when they are told that AI will be introduced into your training or learning, because they
Mm,
feel that it will judge them, or it will sort of
yes.
track their activity. So how do we ease that fear out for them?
Yeah. Um, I think the first thing is, fluency is very, very critical. So, I mean, the first thing is that while we mitigate or help them bridge this change, that we tell learners that they should never underestimate their own ability and creativity when it comes to learning how to integrate AI into their workflow. So I'm coming at this from, I'm going to say, two ways. The first way is that we can, how AI can help them is two. Okay, let me back up. Two ways. The first way that was really important was, as us as instructional designers, we need to make sure that we're incorporating those ethics we just spoke about, making sure that we are transparent with our use of AI, that we keep data private. And if we do our part, to show that we're being morally upstanding human beings with people's data and making sure that we're being aware of the bias, just making sure that biases are not being introduced into any algorithms or prompts, then what we can do is we can communicate that, but it may work, but most people are like, will maybe say, okay, you can tell me, but I'm not seeing the benefit. Sorry, Erin, I can't give that. But so that goes into actually showing. So there's two ways that I think can really show how AI can benefit learners. The first one is maybe job opportunities. So I am really a fan of tests. I love tests and seeing how I can improve in the area. So my idea for this one is that a person who may say they want to go into a leadership position, or maybe they want to go into an entirely new area in their organization, they can take a test, and with the AI feedback programmed by ethical humans, they can get feedback on how they are now, get that baseline, that foundation. And the AI can give feedback saying, hey, Bob, or hey, Jen, you're doing great here. Here are your strengths, and here are some opportunities for you. If you want to get to level XYZ in a company, here are some suggestions for you. And then that person can see this, and they're like, okay, it's not so overwhelming anymore. The AI or the algorithm has helped them get an idea of where the gaps in their knowledge or skill, and then they can go forward and do their best to fill in those gaps. The second one is called instructional AI or scaffolding learning. And that's an example where, say, I'm going to use Jen again. Jen's in a system. She's having a trouble with a certain process. The AI can pick that up, help Jen, say, hey, Jen, I think you need to look at this, or hey, Jen, it seems that you're having a problem here. Here's how you can, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to click. The AI can help support Jen until she acquires that mastery or understanding of the task that she needs to do. Oh. And then the AI backs off. And then Jen's like, oh, next time this happens, she knows exactly what she needs to do and where she needs to go. There's no, I don't know what's happening here. So I think with that, with AI, by showing people the positive benefit, especially how it impacts their career, can alleviate any sort of, worries of the AI being there. And you made a good point about AI, or the AI is watching me or is judging me. See, that's where it comes on the organization and us instructional designers to communicate that, no, it's not here to judge you, it's here to help you. And this is how it's going to help you. And here's an example. So, yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. So, all right, to our listeners who are listening, AI is not for judging us, it's for helping us. So that's the good takeaway that we have from this conversation. And before we sort of conclude, so, Erin, have you seen, or do you have a sort of example where you have seen AI has made learning more personal, more engaging for the people? Do you have any sort of case study or a small example that you can share with our audience?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of video games. Okay, I love video games. I love role-playing games, RPGs. As a kid, I love choose-your-own-adventure games because you have all these different scenarios and branching situations. Cave of Time, that was a choose-your-own-adventure book. I never made it home. I always ended up being eaten by a dinosaur. But my point is, I really feel AI lends so well to this. So, because I love those type of situations where you can make a choice and you have a consequence, I like doing my best to, where appropriate, not all the time, building those type of gaming elements into my training. And one, for example, is one that I'm revising is around challenging customers. So the idea is that, okay, you have a challenging customer, meaning the person could be happy, they could be angry, they could be mad at you. And how your choices, how you answer them, there's going to be consequences. And then thanks to good programming, one can see that, oh, here's an empathetic statement. I'm going to make this empathy statement. But what you think is an empathetic statement maybe isn't an empathetic statement. And then you're like, what happened? Well, how can I salvage this situation? So what I'm getting at is I feel that AI makes it easier for me to build these branching scenarios. And I still have to do the work to pull together, right? I still have to pull together the e-learning or the learning itself. So my brain is still in the mix of being creative, but AI helps me focus my thoughts, gets it out so I can see where everything connects. And then I can finally build that. So I don't know if that answers the question or not, but I really think AI really helps. It can help you organize your thoughts, your ideas, and it helps you really flesh out any sort of creativity that you can create. That you can actually create something impactful and wonderful and hopefully educationally engaging for your learners.
Erin, thank you so much for this. And we, before we end up, we always ask for a tip to our guests and
Yes.
speakers. So, what's the one tip that you would like to leave with our listeners for today? It could be something related to AI. It could be something that you have learned over the years from your experience and that has stayed with you.
Yes. You know, I got into this field because I guess I always had optimistic or egalitarian views of just, and I still do, of just, humanity. What we're here to help each other. And that's where I feel when it comes to education, it's the same thing. I'm
Right.
very passionate about learning and giving people opportunities if they want to take that opportunity. So, but when it comes to AI, I think this is really the main tip. AI should always start with us, our creativity, our insight, and our lived experiences. It and ultimately it needs to end with us using AI to help people, empower people, and to lift them up. So often than not, we think about the negatives, about how AI can replace people, how AI can, as you said earlier, how AI is judging me, how I'm going to lose my job. And I think when people start thinking like that, that's where ethics, the lack of ethics, or just a lack of really considering the human person in all of this, that's where the negative parts, the darker parts of AI come into play. So I really think that in order to stop that, the negativity from coming into AI, that for us designers, we just need to keep the person at the forefront of our thoughts when we create any sort of content and learning. Because again, AI is there, I feel, to empower people. It's a tool to help us, not replace anyone. And so that's really, I guess, my tip. Just keep the person first. When you make training, everything's going to be wonderful. So
Wow,
that's it.
that was awesome, Erin. So, and thank you so much for such a thoughtful conversation we had today. I'm sure everyone listening today is walking away with something actionable, and it was very lovely talking with you. For our listeners, if you
Thank
find
you.
this helpful, share it with your friends and subscribe to GydeBites for more episodes like this. Until next time, I'm Prasanna Vaidya. Keep learning, keep inspiring, and remember that, as Erin mentioned, AI is here to help us, and it's we humans who give a direction, and not vice versa. Thank you once again, Erin.
Thank you. Thank you so much.